say yes to any gig that you can get. You just never know who's gonna end up in the room, who's gonna know the next person. The conversations I've said yes to that I'm like, this is not gonna amount to anything. That's the door that opens, that I get introduced to someone that leads to the bigger thing. It only takes one job.
This is diabolical.
Today we are at Frank's house and I'm making a Bolognese for a good friend of mine, Maddy DeVita, also known as Hand Me the Fork. I'm adding in carrots, celery, and onion. Oh my God, those onions really fucked up my whole being. Let that cook for about 7 minutes. Now I'm putting in our 3 different types of meat, which is veal, beef, and pork. I feel like a Bolognese or any sauce where there's so many components, it's like you kind of just throw it in a pot and see what happens. A little more salt, the cream and the cheese is really gonna, But cooking for a private chef is exhilarating, also very terrifying because this is what she does for a living. We're gonna have a little bite and then we're gonna move on inside, have a cocktail, and have a conversation. It's not bad.
Hello.
Are you here?
I am.
Okay, I'm coming to get you. Hello! Come on in.
Stop. It's so good to see
You look great.
You do. Come on in. Well, I have a surprise for you.
Oh my gosh.
We made Bolognese. And we also have, because I absolutely stalked you, we have spicy margaritas with tahini rim.
Oh my God, that's like being loud.
Yeah, me too. All right, cheers. Cheers. Oh, so good. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's such a pleasure to sit with you.
I mean, likewise, especially in the
we're
company of...
We're gonna have to finish that before the end of the interview.
We'll
so
work
we
on
should
it.
probably get going. Mm-hmm. I want to start by touching on how we met because it was a blackout for me because I was really running around. But you graciously agreed to be one of the bakers at the 4LA event, which was one of the most wonderful events that I've ever been a part of. And I feel like it really was New York community coming together. Mm-hmm. We don't know each other terribly well. We've been to now probably 2 events together. And I've had a crush on you since I met you.
My gosh, no, like likewise. I feel like when Luke mentioned he was doing that 4LA event with you, I saw you on, or I think it was actually a collaborative post. Mm-hmm. So I clicked and I was like, this girl seems like really cool. Like you can just get a vibe.
Freaking out inside.
Like, yeah, girl crush.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you then. I'm so happy that we were then at a Apartment 4F event, sat across from you with assigned seating by our homegirl, Ashley, which was perfect. And now we're here, and now I get to dive in and get to know you, and it's super exciting. Mm-hmm. And I think I want to start this with understanding your background, why you got into food. I know your Nona, which is your father's side.
Yes.
Your father's side was definitely a big inspiration to why you are cooking and some of the recipes that you probably gravitate towards. And I'll let you kind of elaborate that.
Yeah, I would. I grew up in a big Italian-American family, so food was definitely central. The big Sunday dinners. And like, I don't come from a family of chefs per se, just like very passionate home cooks.
But the Italians, even the home cooks, would consider themselves professional chefs.
That's true. And you know what? Fair. They put in the time and effort to, deserve that. But yeah, the weekends and Sundays especially were just always dedicated to like dinner. I mean, you wake up and it's like, what's for dinner? and then you fixate it on on it all day. Yeah. And I was just like a food obsessed child, like
from young age.
Like very weird specific preferences, like hated chicken growing up.
Okay.
Like plain chicken. My mom, she would like put it on the table and I would like cut it up into the smallest pieces because if I tasted the texture of chicken, I started to gag.
Oh.
Chicken.
Do you eat chicken now?
Yeah, chicken's great.
Great.
Weird things like that, but
Okay.
like I like Bordelaise sauce. That was like one of the first things I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing.
Okay.
Like 7 years old. Like I think I probably had a bite of someone's steak with the sauce and I was like,
Insane.
yeah.
And was that something that was being cooked at home or that you would try out and
Probably try out. Bordelaise definitely was not being cooked at home.
Okay.
But Bolognese, all the Italian classics. I mean, Italian American classics, I should say. So yeah, the chicken parm, chicken saltimbocca with the prosciutto and the mozzarella on top. Like lots of, honestly, I'm like, there was a lot of chicken dishes, meatballs, and a lot of the times we would either do dinner at ours or our cousins who
was
lived
everyone kind of close in vicinity?
Pretty close. So my dad's actually the youngest of 7.
Holy.
So that's the Italian side of the family.
Okay.
And so all the cousins live either, let's see, Connecticut, New York, or Jersey. So tri-state area.
Yeah.
So definitely driving distance. And then Nona was the matriarch.
Where was she located?
New Jersey, Paramus.
Okay.
She lived in the same, I mean, my dad lived in the same house his whole life until he moved out, and she continued living there until she passed last December. So it was over 60 years she lived in that house.
Wow.
Which was, I mean, it's wild.
And would you say that she had a pretty large influence in your culinary venture? Or she was just maybe the one that worked with you to teach you some recipes? Like how did she affect you or I don't know, almost give you love for food?
Yeah. It was later on, interestingly, because growing up, we were all like a little bit intimidated by Nona because she was strict, you know,
an Italian woman.
Yes, and she was she went to medical school when not a lot of women were going to medical school. One of 4 women to graduate actually from Georgetown Medical School, and so like she was very academic, cared very much about grades and like what you were doing and are you studying? Are you, you know, like,
okay.
So
did she go on to then become a doctor? Or?
Yeah, she was a family physician for basically her entire life. She retired at the age of 90 in 2020.
90?
Yeah. Yeah, and she was, so her, I mean, we're really getting into it, but the home that she lived in for 60 years, the bottom floor, she converted to a doctor's office. Wow. And it was, I mean, fit with a waiting room, a receptionist area, multiple exam rooms. And so I have so many memories, more so than the food element of Nona, was going to her house for family dinners. But the memories were honestly playing doctor in her doctor's office, in a real doctor's office. So like a child's dream with all of my cousins.
Just with real
there
tools.
was, 25 of us. So
25 cousins. Like
25
actually,
cousins.
You're not exaggerating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, 25. That's the actual number. And my dad's the youngest of 7, so I was kind of on the younger end of that. So lots of older cousins.
Got it. That's a big Sunday feast.
Yes, big Sunday.
That's a lot of food.
And that wasn't every Sunday. It was definitely most holidays.
Okay.
But growing up, the cooking happened either in my like immediate family or sometimes with like one of my dad's like siblings in the family, so some of my cousins.
Okay.
And it wasn't until later in, I guess, my culinary journey. I mean, I hadn't yet switched to cooking professionally at all. So
well, I have lots of
we'll
questions
get into
because
that.
I know you were pre-med, and I wanted to ask, was that inspired by your grandmother or your Nona? I'm sorry.
For sure. And I come from, I mean, because of Nona, there's a lot of doctors in the family. Not my parents.
Was strict. She was like, this is the only way.
Yeah. I mean, I think she at least set an example that was like, and she was successful. So I think there was, this example of this successful woman who raised, 7 kids. Her and my grandfather divorced when my dad was super young. Okay. And she continued to work, continued to raise her kids, and definitely, was the example that like, I don't want to hear complaining because like, I figured it out.
Look what
like,
I did.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there were a lot of doctors in the family and a lot of doctors who went to Georgetown, which is where I went to school. And so I think it was more subconscious, honestly, more than anything of
Did you enjoy
wanting to go there.
Learning all that and going down that road? And then, because soon after you went to school, you finished school, right? Then did you work or you were at a nonprofit for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I graduated during COVID, 2020.
Oh,
so
God.
my senior spring was like the COVID bomb.
That's tough. Did you have a graduation?
2 years later, I did.
At that point, like,
It was weird. It
Just
was
send
kind of
the
like a 2-year reunion at that
just
point.
send the diploma.
I
And
know.
let me be on my way.
I know. So I graduated kind of during COVID.
You did
And
it.
yes. And ended up working at this nonprofit that I really only ended up working at because COVID blew up all the other plans. I mean, I was definitely at that point I knew I didn't want to go to med school.
Got it. Okay.
So I had kind of like taken that. I was like, I'm the most like indecisive person. So I was like, I need to be really sure med school is the thing before it's 4 years of school, internship, residency.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched Grey's Anatomy.
It's a
I know
whole
that.
journey.
Yeah.
It's a whole journey.
It's a journey. And
so, a very expensive journey.
Very expensive. Yeah, no, for sure. So I was like, maybe like definitely actually something in the healthcare space.
Okay.
But I was like, I think I want to be in New York, like healthcare. And I was like, I need to make money. So healthcare consultant, that's where my mind went. It was spring. I had I had figured out nothing when it came to what I was actually doing. But then COVID,
COVID was like that funny time of it either jump started things or you can't remember what you did for 2 years straight.
Well, yeah, 100%.
And I was in
it is a bit
the
of
2 years straight
it's a
situation.
bit of a black hole for sure. There was a few things I was applying for, and like it was just everyone. The emails were just like, it's a hiring freeze. Like we're not doing anything. And you graduate college, and you're like, okay, what do I do?
Okay.
But the summer before, I had interned at this global health focused nonprofit.
Okay.
And I really thought, I was like, at least for the summer, I was like, how long is this thing going to last? At least for the summer, this can be something I can work on. So I emailed my managers. I was, do you guys need help? Like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Helped them over the summer. And then there was a entry level role that opened up at the end of the summer. And I was like, this is kind of all I got right now.
Yeah. Keeps you busy, gets
yeah.
money in your pocket.
Exactly.
At that point, were you in the city or were you living?
I moved back home. I was living at home. Yeah. Because I mean, everyone was fleeing the city. It's crazy looking back because you could be like, why didn't I do? But like, I mean, everyone was afraid they were going to die.
I know.
It's like, this is the end of the world.
I got COVID very soon on. So I had this like resilience. I was like, I'm fine. I already made it through. Wound up getting it again a third time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But now I just feel like I'm immune to it.
It is really like going back to the headspace of like, it's like you kind of forget about it was multiple years that it was just like.
Was it? I don't know. Okay, so you were at the nonprofit, and then when did you turn to food? Because that was kind of in the same window, right?
Yeah. So I guess I should introduce when I made this Instagram account, Hand Me the Fork.
During COVID.
So yeah, that was immediately after I graduated school.
Okay.
I created this account, which kind of like all through college, my friends were like, you should make an Instagram account. I was constantly cooking. I mean, like in my freshman year dorm, I was microwaving sweet potatoes. My roommate, who is one of my closest friends, I lived with her all 4 years of COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, COVID, all 4 years of college.
I guess
she
it
was like,
4 years.
girl, what are you doing? Like, so, like I was, doing weird shit in the dorms, cooking wise. And, senior year, when I was living off campus, like grocery shopped every week. I was like, I'm not relying on like the, campus.
Horrible meal program.
Yeah, cafeteria. I was like cooking as much as I could, and for other people as well. And then, so it had always kind of been like a joke. My friends would be like, oh my gosh, Maddie's in the kitchen, like reducing her like no idea what these words mean, but like insert random culinary term, was definitely doing that. Like,
yeah.
And so,
okay, so it started then. Your love kind of started creeping out, not even realizing that you maybe loved it. You were just gravitating towards food and playing with food.
Well, I always say it was the like obsession with food. And then I was like, if I can cook it and like had kind of hold the control, like the keys to the castle of being able to cook the food that I just want to eat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's going to be fantastic for me.
And you made this account. How did you come up with Hand Me the Fork?
I sat on this is like, I always say I have the worst memory, but I do vividly remember this because I was sitting on the couch and I knew I wanted to find a handle that didn't have any underscores or numbers.
Got it.
And
Which
I
is
just
hard
sat
these
there
days.
typing in ideas until I got one that like basically hadn't been taken yet.
Yeah.
and hand me the fork. I think we had probably, my family, it was definitely a group effort. I'm like, we were definitely making some sort of, this is COVID, so there was definitely some sort of cocktail making going on. I'm spitballing the handles, and it was definitely
a big
pass
bowl
me the
Bolognese.
fork, hand me the spoon, and we landed on hand me the fork.
I love it.
Yeah. And so that was, the spring of 2020. And while working at this nonprofit job, I kind of just used the account to do everything I was already doing and just document it. So everything I was cooking outside of work.
Okay.
It was a true 9 to 5, sit at the table, do the job, a little bit miserable from my parents' dining room, and then be like, but what are we cooking after?
That was your happy place.
Yeah. And I thought for sure I was going to get sick of the account after like 2 weeks, but I was like, this is awesome.
Were you, like your first couple videos, maybe it was photos, I don't know if reels were a thing.
All photos.
All photos.
Highly filtered. And they're all still there. I archived
Probably
nothing.
super contrast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
VSCO. Yeah. Lots of those presets.
Got it.
Yeah.
Really makes the food appetizing.
There was like a orange hue to like everything.
Everything.
I don't know. I thought it looked really good.
Okay. So you start doing this, you start to love it, or you start to love cooking, or you start to love social media. Which one came first? Or
It was always the cooking.
It was always
for
the cooking.
sure. It was fun to do the social media, and then it was when I actually had the account and during lockdown that I was like, I'm not really seeing Nona that much. And I was talking to her on the phone, and I was like, oh, I really want to make your bread pudding. Can you send me the recipe? Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, why don't you come and like make it here? And I was like, okay. So I went with my dad and my sister down to New Jersey, to Paramus, and made it. And at this point I was like posting everything I was cooking. So I had my sister kind of film me as Nona was telling me what to do, and I was making it in the kitchen, and I kind of spliced it together as a little story series in the car ride home. And I mean, I had like 50 followers. It was all friends and family following me, but everyone was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, Nona's great. Like this, because she would be like, no, don't do it like that. Like she was mean. Yeah. But then at the end, she'd be like, this is delicious. It was like this very full circle, like the grouchy Nona, but then at the end, she loved it. And
you made her proud at the end.
Yeah.
Now, if it didn't come out good,
and she would let you know. For sure. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I was cooking her recipes and using her instructions. So I'm sure she was going to tell me it tasted good. No matter what.
Even if it was absolute garbage.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect bread pudding.
Exactly. No, but the feedback was just like, people were so into it. They were like, this is awesome.
Did you start to see a growth once you started doing these videos with her?
No.
Okay.
It was my little community of friends and family. And like, I don't even know in the beginning, like there was definitely, maybe I had a few, like 100, under 100 at some point who had followed along. Mm-hmm. And I mean, occasionally I would get a message from like a stranger, and I was like, that's cool. But we're talking like, maybe like slowly 200 followers, 300, very low. But
okay.
It became kind of our little tradition, Nona and I, to cook together. And we really kind of just started going through all of her recipes. And my extended family loved this because some of the recipes weren't even written down. So I was documenting them. And then so it was kind of this beautiful documentation, but also bonding experience, because my whole childhood I'd always been a little bit intimidated by Nona. And it was the very kind of formal, like, okay, the family gathering, like give Nona a kiss on the cheek, tell her you're doing good in school, and then she's going to talk to the grownups.
Yeah.
And this
sounds like my grandmother.
Yeah. And this was just, it was a completely different like side of her, and probably a side of me for her too, that she hadn't seen. So Absolutely. It was really nice.
How long did you continue doing this with her?
It was all of COVID for sure.
Okay.
And then continued after, but like less frequent here and there, because I mean, she had like a handful of signature recipes. So like we kind of worked our way through them. And then she's like, okay, you start cooking for me now. Like
I show you, now you show me.
Yeah. So it was probably like ended up being like 12 or 15 cooking visits total.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a special thing to share and forever remember with Nona.
And it's so, I mean, I still have on my Instagram, like the highlight reel saved of these little story series. And I look back and it's so funny because I'm like, oh my God, first of all, it's like the camera lens needs to be cleaned. It's like blurry. I'm like, good on you, girl. What's like, and
You're learning.
Exactly. And just like I'm looking back and I'm like, what is this? But it's, those were the videos. It's kind of beautiful.
You need those to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that journey of figuring out what works, what doesn't work, how to light, how to clean the camera before you film things, you know, like,
and how it's like, it's just assume it's dirty and always
just
clean it.
assume it's dirty. That's a great thing to do before a photo or a video.
Seriously.
Okay. So after that, do you check yourself into culinary school?
So yeah, it's basically aligned with all of this. 2 years into that nonprofit job,
2 years you were with them.
I was with them for 2 years.
That's great.
The second year was kind of the what am I going to do next? And I went through a series of kind of like peeling back the layers of the onion for what I wanted to do. I was like, maybe it's still nonprofit, but food focused. So I applied to World Central Kitchen. Cool. I was like, maybe that's it. Interviewed, actually never heard back from them. And I was like, it's a sign, not meant to work there. Move on. And then I was like, you know what? Like, screw it all. I just need to make money, management consulting. And I studied those. I had like one of the most traumatizing interviews of my life where they asked me what the weight of water in an Olympic sized swimming pool would be. Like, this is real. And I'm like, this is one of those out of body moments where like, you're actually like asking me that question and I have to come up with something.
What was your answer? And what is the right answer? Because I'm sure you
Sorry, all I can think about was after the sweat stains in my shirt. I think I started writing down like random numbers and was like, yup, I'm just figuring it out, and did that for like 25 minutes of like math and then never got to an answer and was like,
I got it. Yeah. So you avoided.
That didn't get the job.
You know, it wasn't meant to be.
And I was just really like, what is the next thing that I like want to do? And I had followed this small agriturismo on Instagram based in Tuscany. Ebbia, little farm, just a charming little farm. A friend actually had sent it and was like, this place is so cute. How fun would it be to go here at some point? This was like a while ago. And I kept having this like recurring little like intrusive thought that I was like, what if I like went there? Or like, what if I like quit my job and like went there for the summer and like figured out a way to work there? And I am like oldest daughter, straight-laced rule follower. I'm like, that is totally not.
That's like breaking all rules.
It is breaking all the rules. I'm like, I am not the person who would ever do that. And I was on a walk with a good friend and I was telling her about this and she was like, just like message them on Instagram, like see what they say. And I was like, you know, you get to like, sometimes you just like seize the moment of like, you have a bolt of energy and you're like, I'm going to do it. So I messaged them on Instagram and they actually did read it and didn't respond. And I was like, well, this is a sign. And then I was like, you know what? We're going to follow up. I was like, so just to, you know, I see you saw the message.
What was the initial ask? Did you want to just visit them or did you want to work?
The initial ask was if they're like, I basically was like, I'm going to be in between jobs. I was still working there. I was like, I'm going to have some free time. If you could use help of any sort, I am a self-taught cook. And I also like have this social media account with no following, mind you. But I was like, I could help with content. I basically pitched a variety of different things I could potentially help with. And they at first didn't respond. I followed up. And then I got a voice memo back. And this was when I was like, this could be like kind of like a movie. Because this woman, I clicked play and it was this woman, young woman speaking in this like thick Italian accent and was like, you know, buongiorno, Maddy. Like, you know, I can't do the Italian accent, and she was like, you know, like we actually do have a cookbook project that we could use help with. Like if maybe that was interesting, maybe we could see if it works for you to come. And I was just like, oh my God, it's a sign. I was like, a cookbook project. I was like, that sounds like a dream. And like, it still feels so crazy to like look back and say, this is what I actually did.
Because this is also, again, so out of your box.
So out of my box. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, so not something I would say I would do. And
you did it.
I ended up getting on the phone with them and like kind of sussing it out. And once it was kind of like a go and we had kind of a verbal, like, you can come for August and September and like there'll be a room for you and like kind of this like work exchange. They were like, we're good to go on our end. I was like, I'm going to quit my job and like go.
Wow.
And my parents were like, what?
I could just hear the Italian parents, doctors, or
Oh my
whatever
gosh.
parents do.
Yeah. Oh my
Not
gosh.
the ideal.
Just, and like my parents are so supportive, like shout out to them, but like anyone, they were like, what is the plan here, girl? Like, you're what are you gonna do after? Like, what is?
Yeah.
And the one kind of silver lining of living at home during COVID, even working for a nonprofit that had a very small salary, was I was living at home during COVID. I was saving every paycheck I made.
You weren't spending it on New York City rent.
Exactly. Which, after a year, it's like it adds up enough to have a cushion to say I'm going to sublet my apartment, or just my room actually, in New York, and quit my job and go for 6 weeks to figure out kind of what I'm going to do next. And it's not like a completely asinine idea.
Yeah. It's a pretty smart idea, in my opinion, especially in a place that you didn't know which direction you wanted to lean towards. But maybe there was like that internal voice saying, you probably want to be in food.
And it was so it was the first time ever in my life that I felt like my brain was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. This isn't what we do. And I kind of was like already doing this. It was like my body was acting before my brain even like had a moment to like catch up. It was just like, it was a gut instinct in like a way I had never like kind of experienced before.
That sounds incredible. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy you went, because I feel like that paved and opened the path for your now career. And I imagine once you got back, is that when you checked yourself or thought about checking yourself into ICE?
Yeah, that was exactly.
What was the gap between coming home and like saying, you know what, I want to take this further. I want to go into school.
I got back a few days before my birthday, which is September 22nd. And I think my first day of culinary school was November 16th.
Wow.
So it was 2 months. I spent October. October was my research month.
Okay.
And I reached out to every connection on LinkedIn I had that were even tangentially related to the food industry. And, I always say you only need one person who's loosely related, because then they say, who you could talk to is like this friend of mine. And it's a snowball. And so I ended up talking with some really interesting people, ranging from restaurant chefs to the test kitchen manager at Food 52.
Oh, wow.
To like and it was like connections through neighbors and my mom's friend who 30 years ago worked for this event company in New York. And maybe I could reach out to my boss that I had 30 years ago and asking kind of the same question of like, what are your thoughts on culinary school? I'm interested in the food industry at large. Don't know exactly what I want to do, but like, is culinary school basically the right next step? And also tell me about your job. What do you do? Because maybe that's what I want to do. Like I was this big chaos ball just trying to figure out what the right next step was.
I resonate with that so much, because I had the same thing happen. I was in marketing for X amount of years, was working with all hospitality groups in different restaurants, fell in love with the chef's life. And I'm like, oh, I really like the chef's life, started cooking and tried to convince myself that I shouldn't go into food. It's not a good career. It's it's hard. You don't make money. And then I was in a restaurant, like I don't even know how I got into that restaurant. It just happened.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just, yeah. And I feel like it is for like a career in food, specifically like chef. It's like not to sound like so
cult.
Dramatic, but it's cult, but also like calling. It's like being in a
You were
restaurant.
probably gonna say calling, and you just rolled with my really aggressive
cult. No, but true, because it's like it's a lot of work. It's very physical, but it's like the people who do it like fucking love it.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
they also nuts.
Yeah.
It's a
Really
perfect combination.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so you're in ICE, the 8-month program, which is the full thing.
Yes.
Did you like it? Did you think that 8 months was too many months, or was it just right? How was your experience? All of it.
8 months timing wise was.
But 2 of those was probably externship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 6 months of class, which all things good. It's like brief. It
is
flew by.
Yeah.
Flew by. It was perfect for what I wanted, which was like a kind of a crash course. Like, because I feel like the main schools you hear about are ICE and then CIA, at least for the New York area. And CIA is full like degree program. Like they're kind of completely different. It's like one is like fully like you're getting, a bachelor's degree and you're like learning how to cook for 4 years. And ICE is a diploma, it's they're two different
Completely
programs.
different worlds.
And I was like, there's just no world in which I went to college. I was like, there's no world in which I do another 4-year like thing. That's
I also
crazy.
don't think that I don't know. Maybe you feel like this because now you're in food, but there's no way you need 4 years of
yes
cooking school.
Yes,
get your foundation, which you did. Whether that be like I did a 4-month program, which I'm like, could I have done one more month? Probably.
Fair. What was yours?
Cordon Bleu in Paris.
Oh my god! Wow, that's amazing.
Really just wanted to check into food.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, the international ones in Boulud.
They have locations everywhere.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I thought it was only Ireland.
No, I think they're up to 6 or 7 locations.
Wow.
I think a goal of mine is one day maybe go back
Yeah.
and do like a 2-month program or one
Yeah.
of their shorter programs, but in a different location.
Totally. Oh, so cool. Well, that's the thing about culinary school is I went because I was trying to make this transition into food, but I had also held this kind of like lifelong little dream of like maybe one day going to culinary school, even if it's a 2-week thing or a couple months, like that would just be such a cool experience in and of itself. And I'm also like a school person. Like, give me an assignment. Give me like, I'm like, give me
You
a
show up.
deadline. Like,
You show
I
up.
thrive. So I loved culinary school.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love school. I'm like a little bit of a hardo, so I was like, I wish it was more challenging. Like, there was a little bit.
Go to Cordon Bleu,
Yeah.
where they don't speak English.
That might be the challenge I need.
But you said you know a little French, so you might be able to
like a teensy bit
to
but
do well there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do not break. If you ask a question and you're like, please, like, I don't know what you're telling me. Like, I really want to make this dish right. And they understand you. They're like, is it like they do not break.
Wow.
They talk to you in French. I'm like,
Wow.
got it. Okay. I guess I'll look at my neighbor and see what he's doing because they are just harsh.
That's real deal.
Real
Damn.
deal. I loved it.
Damn. Yeah.
Love
Yeah. I do feel like it's like the first. I definitely would be like, what have I done if I went there? But then it's like, I mean, it's the reward thing, which is a huge part of it. I mean, we'll get into private chefing, but it's like the struggle and the challenge of it all. Because then when you're done, it's like, it feels so good.
Yeah. And during school, I know I stalked you. I've mentioned this. Your egg video. That is what kind of brought you to a social presence, right? Or did you start to grow that presence and then
It really, I mean, when I entered culinary school, the account had grown to a little over 2,000 people.
Still small.
Very small, very small. And when I went
But
into
200 to 2,000 is great.
yeah, so over, I guess it was 3 years, I grew the account to 2,000, which, is slow but steady growth.
Yeah. You got your core followers in there.
We did. And then I was like, I mean, I have this account. We're just going to kind of pivot and I'm going to culinary school now. This is what I'm going to talk about, show on my account.
Yeah.
And it was the Egg Day video that just went completely viral in a way that like, it's always the videos you never freaking expect.
I know.
And they just pop right off. It's crazy. And it was an overnight growth in a way that was just so wild to see.
What was that first jump?
It was like 1,000 overnight because I remember looking and I opened up Instagram as I usually do and I was scrolling and then I went, what?
It probably didn't even show you the number.
I went up and I was like, I'm like 99% sure that number was like a 2, whatever. And now it's a 3 something. And I was like, what? And then I checked the video and I don't remember how many views, but it was substantially more views than any other video. In that video, I mean, I don't know what it's at now, but it went viral and got over 1 million views, on Instagram.
Wow.
And God, I think it got me like a couple, like, I think I passed 10,000 followers probably like that week. Like it was immediate.
So you went to 2,000 to 10,000 in a week.
And then it continued just through culinary school. Like, cause I started culinary school in November. Egg Day was January, February.
Okay.
April, when I finished class, I had over 125K on Instagram.
Holy crap.
So it was this rapid growth that was wild.
Wow. And were you continuously posting these videos once a week, twice? Like how often?
Every day.
Every day.
And it
Every
was
day. And consistent. You didn't miss a day.
like maybe I missed 1 or 2 days, but I like basically
You
posted a
saw
video
what was
for every
happening
day.
and you're like, that's where we're leaning.
Yeah. And at my part-time job during culinary school, which I didn't mention yet, was running Chef Daniel Boulud's Instagram account. And so I would, because he stalked me. But I would end school at 11 a.m., go run home, have enough. I mean, I didn't really need to eat because I probably just had a big meal in school. I would change and shower and edit and do the voiceover for a video and post it before running to work from 2 to 8 p.m. for him.
How was that? How is he?
It was really fun.
Okay.
He
strikes me as somebody that obviously where he is in his career, he could do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But he kind of seems like he wants to have fun, and he's like surpassed the proving point, It's,
He runs runs a tight ship and is involved in every aspect of the operation, which is wild because how many restaurants does he have at this point? It's like he has like this empire and cares so much about like every single detail. It's definitely why he's so successful.
Absolutely.
But as a result, there's high expectations. He's a classic French chef. And that's like intense. But was such a great job. I absolutely loved working for him. I literally chased him around the city. That was my job. I followed him to events. I would get content. I still remember, talk about another surreal moment. I had interviewed for this, it was with Dynex Group is the name of his hospitality group. And it was a, part-time social media role. I was like, that's perfect. And I went in for an interview with the social media or marketing team. And they were like, well, you're going to be working really closely with DB in this role. If you get it. So he definitely would need to talk to you before we could ever move forward. Let me see actually if he has availability this afternoon. Cause that would be ideal. And they got him on the phone. And I literally from that first interview took a cab up to Restaurant Danielle, East 65th. Got out, was led back through the kitchen up to the skybox, which is the name of his office that's overlooks the kitchen, sat in the little booth and waited for Chef Danielle to come up and have an interview, a completely impromptu interview. I was like,
how are you doing inside?
I was like, this is insane. This is because it's he is one of the classic New York, there's Jean-Georges, there's Thomas Keller, there's DB. Those are the trio that kind of come to mind.
Yeah.
I was I didn't really have time, honestly, to even think about it too much, which was for the best.
Probably, I was going to say,
it was definitely for the best. And he came in and was like, oh, hi, Maddy. What, looked at my resume. He didn't really ask me anything about the resume. We just kind of had a chat. And I think I passed the vibe check.
It's amazing.
And I got the job.
Did you find this on your own, or was this through school?
So it wasn't through school. It was a result of that October research month. And I mentioned offhand the boss of my mom's friend from 30 years ago.
That's who came through.
It was a few connections later. She was like, you should talk to this person, talk to that person. You should talk to that person. Ended up getting connected to the person who was at one point his culinary manager.
Got it.
Danielle. And she was like, oh, I know so many hospitality groups. I think your story is super interesting. You're going to be in culinary school. You'll definitely, I think you didn't have no problem finding a part-time internship type thing. And so she kindly sent out my resume to lots of different hospitality groups to see what stuck. And Dynex needed this part-time position, which was perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So school, Danielle, which is insane. How long were you doing social for him?
All through school, and then I did my externship at one of his restaurants, which just felt right. I wanted to work for a female executive chef, and it was right when Blue Box Cafe, his all-day cafe concept at the Tiffany Landmark, was opening, and he had a wonderful female executive chef Raphael. So I got the chance to work.
Her name? Oh, her last name was Raphael, or first name? That's amazing.
She's early 30s, French woman, so beyond talented. Yeah,
love her.
Yeah, so shout out.
Did 2 months there?
Yeah, 2 months there.
On the line.
I did all the stations. I rotated through prep. I was plating desserts. I did garde manger.
They threw you in.
The line scared me the most, for sure.
intense.
It's really intense.
But I
It's
feel
really
like
intense.
like a you, just feeling you a little bit, would probably love it to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. I
Or
did
was it
fries for a
anxiety?
little while, and like, you know, you're like literally working the fry station.
I hated fry station.
Yeah, fry station, and like
I burnt myself so many
using
times.
your hands as the funnel for the burning hot fries into. I mean, it's actually good. Like my pain tolerance definitely improved.
Well, you probably just
during
don't have feelings in your hand anymore.
Yeah, no, like the calluses. There was one time I was, you know, you work next to everyone on the line super tight, and someone had like chicken going in the pan, and there was some liquid or water that got in, and like the oil just splattered up my
God.
neck.
I'm sorry.
And I went to the bathroom and like just started crying, not because of the pain, but I was like, I'm gonna have a horrible burn up my neck. It's gonna be hideous.
Probably for a hot second too.
And luckily it like healed super quickly. I put the burn cream on, but that was, I mean, I knew going into culinary school, so much respect for people who work in restaurants. I knew that was not the journey that I wanted to go on.
Okay. From day one, you knew that's not where you wanted to
Yeah, I knew and was so glad that the externship was like a requirement for school. So I would have a
moment
a
in.
taste. I mean, I know 2 months is so short.
It is short, but it's enough, especially because you did not want to be there. It's enough to know that's not your home, you know? Mm-hmm. You got a taste of
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is high intensity from the moment you step into the moment you leave a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved every second of it, but I will not go back.
It is. It's, I mean, yeah, it's a bug, right? It's like you.
It's a bug, and it's not a healthy bug, and that's why
How long did you work in restaurants?
about a year. 3 different restaurants, 1 sandwich shop that I got fired Missy Leland, a sandwich shop, and then La Lu, a friend of mine, let me kind of pop in sometimes.
Cool.
But my first job was a sandwich shop, and I hated it and got fired really quickly.
Why? Why'd you get fired?
I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong.
For the record, I did nothing wrong.
I have done nothing wrong. I've made really good sandwiches. The owner was lovely, but she was a bit of a hard ass. My call time was 5 a.m. and that was on a Saturday, and that was the Saturday after Halloween. Oof. I was probably in bed by 12 o'clock, but still a 12 to 5 a.m. start is still a tight. And for whatever reason, I think there was some murmuring that maybe I had some drinks the night before. I absolutely did, but I was not showing that. And she called me over. She's like, listen, we don't allow that tolerance and that behavior in our establishment. I'm like,
shut up. That's crazy.
It's like, okay, I guess I'll pack my bag.
Okay.
I'm here. So that was my first food experience, and it got better after that. When did you pivot into private chefing?
So I finished the externship at the beginning of August. This is now in 2020, at the summer of 2023.
Okay.
And my plan was to return working with Dynex it wasn't completely figured out, but potentially on their corporate chef team. Okay. There was one of the team members was going to be going on maternity leave. There was going to be a potential opening for me to help out. And that role I was really excited about because it would have been like super dynamic, not doing the same thing every day. That's something like big that was one of the turnoffs of a restaurant, of just like you have your station and it's just like the repetition of it. It's a
machine.
Yeah. And I really wanted something that like there was just a little bit more, day-to-day variety, I guess. And the corporate chef team are constantly doing different things. They're prepping for events. If Daniel's on the Today Show, they're prepping the chicken that he's going to roast. It's all that different background recipe testing. He's working on a cookbook. They help with the testing. I was like, oh, that sounds super cool. But before I even got a chance to iron that out, I got a DM from this guy who has a private chefing placement agency that we had kind of been in touch with over the summer. He one of those weird, like my cousin's roommate's friend knew it, like, you know, one of those third degree of separation. And he was like, would you ever be interested in like a full-time private chefing job? I have like a client. And I was like, did you DM the wrong person? Like, I just graduated culinary school. Like, how am I qualified for that? Like, in the back of my head, I was always like, oh, private chefing would be cool. But
down the line,
I was like, because you need a lot of experience to do that, and like restaurant experience. So
maybe not.
That's what I thought. And he told me a little bit more about the job and was like, these clients are a little bit unique. They don't want the typical, like a private chef with the typical experience of having years of restaurant work. They want someone younger, female. They have these young girls, and they like personality fit is really important to them.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm interested. I'm like, I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I could actually do this, but like, I'm interested. And I had a FaceTime interview with the clients, and I went and trialed. I did 2 different trials for them. And then eventually I was offered a full-time private chefing job for them.
What did that feel like?
Like, so scary. And I honestly there's part of me that genuinely wished they like didn't hire me, because I was like, I felt like it was such a mistake. And I was like, they're going to figure it out. Like, it was just that first month was like,
imposter.
Today's the day that they're going to figure it out. Like, yeah.
That I don't know how to cook,
Yeah.
or I just got out of school.
Exactly. And it is imposter syndrome, but I feel like there's something about imposter syndrome that's like, and I didn't like know what it's like, it was such a real feeling of like, this is like wrong. Like, they have made a mistake, and like, I feel bad that I've like fooled them into thinking that I can do it.
No.
And it was just the steepest learning curve ever that first month. But I always say it was second culinary school, like the first couple months
For
of private
sure.
chefing.
I mean, it's a complete pivot into a different mindset of how you're cooking, what you're cooking. You're basing your menus and dietary restrictions on somebody else's palate, not on your own, which was probably, I'm sure, a challenge.
Definitely.
Where it just a change.
Yeah. Well, you realize like assumptions about food that you didn't even know you had, because you're like, oh, I love it that way. And like, that's not
They hate
their
it that
preference.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a different, you view food and cooking through a different lens, because over those first few weeks, I learned their preferences.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was constantly like, what am I going to make that they're going to love instead of what I'm going to love? And I actually maybe like wouldn't love this, but I'm going to make it because I know they will. And
Exactly.
it's weird. It's different.
How long were you with them?
It felt like so much longer because it was that first job, but it was like 6 months in the end. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good taste of your first chef job. And why did you part ways?
It kind of was just like a fit, I guess.
For the summer?
It kind of came to like a natural end, honestly. It was, just heading into the spring and the summer and looking ahead, it was, just clear that like the fit was like no longer working as well. And so it kind of came to, a natural kind of like end in the contract, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel, I'm not a private chef, I do more event stuff, but do you feel a level of like isolation from kind of being on your own in a kitchen, cooking for people, but like you're kind of solo in the kitchen doing it yourself?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's weird not having coworkers, and like definitely lonely, and you even like the energy missing, like you feed off of like someone else doing something, looking at their creativity,
even tasting. Having
100%.
somebody taste like, hey, can you just make sure that I'm not losing it and this is actually
100%.
good?
Yeah, I know. That's I think part of what made it such a steep learning curve. It's like you are the boss of everything. You're deciding the menu, you're cooking the menu, or like, shopping for the menu, prepping it, cooking it, executing, figuring out the timing. Like that was a big thing, a huge learning curve of clients say they want to eat at 7 p.m., but then they, get home at 7:15 and then they're talking and you're cooking a steak and and like backtracking and have to let it rest and like that, and then they don't realize that, but you're like, oh my God, I've scheduled like all this prep around.
And while this is all in your head, you have to pretend everything is fine.
And then you're also working in someone's home. Like that's another thing. It's like, and which is why I think personality for private chefs is like huge from the client perspective. It's because you want to come home and like probably not see a chef so frantic around your kitchen because you've had your own long work day.
Yeah.
So you want, that person to at the very least, just like be out of your way and like chill and kind of disappear. Maybe it's nice if they're like, you know, how's your day? Like a little bit of chat, which I like because I'm like a people person. So I love kind of that like interpersonal relationship. Banter. And especially I've always cooked for families with children. Like I love that kind of vibe as well.
How is that? Because I feel like kids also probably have a completely different palate compared to what the adults are probably eating.
It's interesting.
Depending on the age, I guess.
It completely depends on the parents kind of on that one and what they're
have instilled in the kid.
Exactly. And whether they're the type of parents who are like, it's on the table, you're going to eat it. Or it's, you don't like that, sweetie? What would you like instead? I've seen both.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're making double.
Yeah. Well,
for some clients.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not rare that you make like something separate for the kids, or especially timing wise, like kids will often eat earlier.
Yeah.
And it's all about whether you know this in advance or not, or if it's on the spot, this was what was on the menu, but in the moment the kid doesn't like it. And then what would you like instead? And then you're a little bit scrambling.
Plating. To me, I've gone to culinary school. I've worked in a kitchen. Obviously, when you're in a kitchen, they show you the dish and this is how it has to be. And there is that's it. Like, this is what it looks like. You make it like this every single time. Being a private chef, I'm sure there's a mix of family style, people help themselves, and then sit down dinners when they have friends over. What was how did you teach yourself plating? Because I feel like that is a complete skill in itself.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. There was like a little mini module on plating in culinary school where like we were meant to be like a little bit more creative.
Sure.
And the photos are like hilarious. And honestly, the things people came up with, because like everyone would spend like 15 minutes plating like one plate, completely unlike realistic. Like, and like even the designs.
The food is cold by the time.
Like so cold, freezing cold.
Yeah.
And it's also like the designs were so random. It's like you're like arranging asparagus cut in half into like a star. It's like the most absurd stuff ever.
Don't get me started. The French take it to one level higher than that. And
my
it's like
gosh.
3 things on a plate.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing can be touching.
It's all of that. No, 100%. I feel like the plating is still something I'm evolving, I guess, with. Because sometimes I'll have such a strong vision for how I think something's going to look. And it'll either like turn out amazing, either what I had in my head or just like I had a few ideas and it really comes together on the plate. Or sometimes it's the opposite. I'm like, oh, I really felt like I had a strong idea. And like, this is not it. And like, there's a little bit of just like, if it's a good day or a bad day, like a little bit to it. Because like at the end of the day, like plating is art, you know,
100%.
And like there is something about, you know, it's just an off day or like something's not clicking that like goes into you didn't make the best plate of your life. I think there are like obviously concepts in terms of like playing with different textures and like using different colors that contrast and like all kind of the visual art elements that you can definitely like learn and are like actual concepts that, you know, make sense on a plate.
Yeah.
But for me, I tend to go off vibes and the vibes either work or not.
Love that. I feel like there was a moment in my life where I was like doodling what it should look like in my head. And then when you go to actually recreate in real life what the doodle was, it doesn't actually always pan out that way. Yeah. And I realized that soon on, I'm like, got it. So like something hot is going to melt that. And like it's still a learning curve. I don't think I've mastered that even in the slightest.
Yeah, no, I know. And then it's like you add on one other layer, which is getting content of all of this. Cause sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that plate looks killer. So happy with that. And
it's already gone.
Either it's already gone and I didn't get the footage at all, or I get the photo and I'm like, this looks like horrible in the photo. And I'm like, it didn't look like that in person. It looks way better. And then it's like, oh, do I still post it? Even though, and that's where the perfectionist quality, I'm like, oh, it needs to be the perfect content with the perfect plate.
But I feel like your content for the most part is extremely raw and real. It's very much you are capturing things in the moment. It doesn't feel edited. It feels so organic and natural, and that's what you're showing. This is what actually happened versus other people's content feels not staged, but kind of staged.
No, I think that's accurate because that's how I like film. Nothing is I mean, it's literally just my iPhone propped up capturing how it's going.
Your clients are, I'm sure you have to get approval before you. Yeah.
Yes.
Because some clients, I'm sure, absolutely no. And then some are okay with it.
The first job I had was like, it wasn't explicitly, I mean, it was kind of talked about, but it wasn't like explicit. It was kind of like, oh, like I was like, I asked the guy, the private chefing agency guy, Brian, shout out Brian. If I was like, do you think they'd be okay with me eventually filming? And he was like, I think so. And then it kind of naturally, they actually kind of brought it up. They were like, you can film if you want. And then I was like, okay. So that's how that kind of happened. And then because then private chefing was really the second phase of the growth of my account. Because if I mentioned I ended school with about like 125, call it, 1,000 followers, 125K. And then private chefing is when, I mean, it was another rapid period of growth.
Now?
Yeah.
Did you hit 5?
Yeah. I'm at like 550K on Instagram now, but it was that first couple months of chefing, especially like the holiday dinner party content. I mean, I was like a couple 100,000 more that year.
Wow. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah. Really insane. But after that first job, to answer your question, it's always like the first thing I bring up with potential clients. It's like, this is something I do. This is something like I need to be able to do to
but
work
I feel like
for you.
They look at your page. It's a very obvious, like this is your personal brand as well as your private chef. Like you film and you.
Totally. And for the most part, people are, I mean, listen, I completely understand if it's outside of someone's comfort zone. That's why I don't hide it at all. I'm like, if you're not comfortable with this, so fair, it's just not going to be a good fit. But for the most part, people don't care because I'm only filming. Yeah, their faces aren't in it. I mean, I love to, in the voiceovers, and I think people like this too, add a little bit of like, my clients love X, like add as much personality as I can, or like talking about, you know, my client lives here and they're like, without going overly into their, you know, personal things, but just bringing to life the situation as much as I can. So I do like to do that, but all the content itself is of me.
Okay.
And the food, and that's the focus on it. So
would you say that you have ultimately 2 different careers right now with social media and private chef? Does that bring you an amount or whatever amount of money versus like, is it 2 different paths? They're completely complementary. They're so intertwined. Fair.
Because it's like the content. I mean, I don't just do the private chefing content.
I'm sure you do collaborations and all that stuff too.
Yeah, and even just like cooking in my own kitchen for like myself or my friends and hosting in my own space. That's definitely stuff I love to post about. But I private chef because I love it, but it's also a huge part of the content that I post.
Yeah, it does.
And it's
like
right?
It's married.
So yeah, it's definitely married. And it's only been the past year. It was about this time last year that I had wrapped up that first private chefing job. So it's been 1.5 years.
Wow.
And so it's only really been in this last year.
It's still
new. So having like private chefing 1 and then having the following 2 and having both of those kind of be new things at the same time and learning how to do it at the same time.
It's like slightly overwhelming.
We're still figuring it out for sure.
It's a better way of putting that. Yeah. You brought up hosting friends. I have read some of your Substacks. And one of them, which I kind of now in my very immediate life right now really resonated with the fact that you talked about getting real anxiety and getting stressed about having friends over because like you painted this picture. It's not even a painted picture. Your reality is you are a private chef. You do this for a living, but yet when you have people over your home, you're anxious or you're overwhelmed and it's like this perfection has to happen when in reality it actually does not.
Yeah.
What happens?
My gosh, yeah, it's so true. I think it's, for me, it's at least what I tell myself is like, if I do this for my job, it should be so easy to just have people over and like do like a fraction, cook a fraction of the meal I would have to for clients. And it should just be this like effortless thing that like I don't even have to think about. And if there's any effort at all or struggle, it's like, well, you're clearly not that good if you can't even do it, you know, like, and then the other side of it, and this is definitely not rooted in the reality of the people I'm having over, my close friends, but there's a piece of me that's like, oh, if it's not good or it doesn't turn out how I think, it's like people are going to be like, oh, like
you're a private chef.
Yeah. It's like you're a private chef and like you can't even, this wasn't that good, you know?
I have definitely.
It's like a test. It's always a test.
Always. Well, you're the one on show. You're providing the food, you're cooking. And I have definitely felt that, but it's funny. I feel like recently it's just like, if you're coming to my house, you're eating what I put out.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it.
No, 100%.
So sorry.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I think like I really try to like push back around this like gut instinct around the perfectionism, because it's like I'm saying no to having people over if I don't think I have enough time to prep the meal. And it's like, that's completely missing the point of having people over at all. It's like, you have people over because
about gathering.
Yeah, it's about gathering. It's about like not being kicked out of the table at the restaurant because your reservation is, you know, like you can only have the table for 2 hours. It's like you have people over because you can sit and linger and like, you know, the food doesn't have to be perfect. These are your friends. Like, I don't care.
I feel like when I first started really hosting friends, I would there was 5 people coming over. I would make the 6 and 7 for my husband. I would make 10 different items.
Yeah.
No one needs that.
No, yeah.
But it was the same level of like, well, I work in a kitchen. I need to provide in a very elaborate way. And that is so unsustainable for myself, my kitchen, my time, and even the people that are there. They're overwhelmed. They're like, there's a lot of food left over. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, wait, that's so true. I know.
So I've learned from experience of like, no one needs that. 3 items is good. 3 is even like pushing the limits. And like it could be a chill situation because you're in a chill environment. You're in a home, you know, not a 5-star
100%.
restaurant.
And I also forget that like, yes, I'm someone who's going to fixate on the food, but
no one else
no one else does. Your average person is like, oh, it tastes like okay. Like they don't even register good, excellent. They're like, it tastes like food. Like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I just like actually fixated and spiraled on this all day. But
I'm unwell.
well, yeah.
I'm shaking.
So, yeah. No, literally. Oh gosh.
Okay, if you were to give a chef, maybe not knowing where they want to go, any advice and where to go, especially in the private chef world, what would you tell them?
For private chefing, I would say like say yes to any gig that you can get. And by any gig, I mean, if your mom has some friends over for book club and like you are like, Mom, can I cook for you? Or like she's like, sweetie, can you cook for me and Susie and Mary for our book club? Like do it, because you don't know who Susie's friends with, and she could be like, oh my God, you know, so and so made the most delicious charcuterie board, and that's like, it only takes one job. It's like you just need your foot in the door, and then it's word of mouth. It's you do the next one, and like maybe it's not like the most exciting like things ever to begin with, but it's experience. And yeah, the more you do, like you just never know who's going to end up in the room, who's going to know the next person. And like, we think we can predict what's going to happen by saying yes to that. And like, oh, doing that would be a waste, so I'm going to skip it. And it's like, we don't, you know? And I've honestly found that the conversations I've said yes to that I'm like, this is not going to amount to anything, or the event that I go to, or that's the door that opens, that I get introduced to someone that leads to the bigger thing. And you could just you can't anticipate that.
That's amazing. It's really just going. I'm just saying yes.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Totally.
You don't know how to make it, figure it out.
Totally.
You know?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. This was incredible. You are an amazing guest, chef, entrepreneur, all of it. Where can we find you so everyone else can follow along your journey?
Well, thank you for having me, Gina. My handles are the same across all socials, at Hand Me the Fork and Folklore on Substack.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to Campers wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a review. I'll catch you next time.